Imagine someone telling you today that they can detect cancer from a single drop of blood. Would you believe them? Most people say no. But when this exact question was asked to the smartest people in the world, imagine some said yes. Law 12. It is called use selective honesty, and almost everyone misses the point. Because the real question is not, how do you get people to trust you? The real question is, why do people look for reasons to trust you before you've given them even one? Law 12. Stanford University, 2003. A 19-year-old student walks into her professor's office. She's not asking for advice. She's not asking for help. She tells him she's dropping out. And then she says, I want to create a world where no one has to say goodbye too soon because a disease wasn't detected in time. Stop. Before you hear the name, before you find out what happened next, ask yourself, is there any part of you glow? Her name was Elizabeth Holmes. And in 10 years, she convinced the entire world, not with proof ritha, not with data, with a story. She named it Edison. Ayaz came farm with a human run of they beagle friends, a small device that could perform hundreds of lab tests from just one drop of blood. No needles in your veins, no laboratories, no waiting, just one drop. George Shultz, former U.S. Secretary of State, one of the most respected figures in American politics. He believed, and he wasn't alone. These were not naive people. These were people who had survived wars, governments, and markets. How did she fool so many smart people? But look at what happens when you change the question. What did Elizabeth Holmes give these people that made complete a reason to feel important? How did she wore black turtlenecks like Steve Jobs? She spoke in a deep, deliberate voice. She never smiled without a reason. But here is what most people miss. These were not tricks. These were signals. And it wasn't just about the investors. Real patients were using Theranos tests. Real doctors were making real decisions based on those results. Some of those results were inaccurate. And no one knew, because the idea was too beautiful to challenge. And it wasn't Fortune magazine, 2014. The youngest self-made female billionaire in history. Net worth, $9 billion. The technology didn't work. It never worked. Not once, perfectly.
One journalist asked the question no one else was asking. John Carreyrou, The Wall Street Journal.
He spoke with insiders, with people who had tried to speak up before.
And this is where the story becomes about you.
When the article dropped, the first reaction for many people wasn't this: I knew something was wrong. Their first reaction was, I hope it's not true. This reaction,
Everyone asks, how did Elizabeth Holmes deceive so many smart people? But that's the wrong question. You trusted her because you loved what she stood for. She represented the idea that one person with enough vision can change everything.
she represented the hope that medicine would become accessible to everyone, that the poor would have access to what the riche have medicine. And when someone represents all of this,
Doubting them feels like betraying hope itself. Doubting them. Think about your own life. Is there something you believe in right now that you haven't truly questioned? A person, a plan, an idea. And when doubts creep in, do you look into them? Or do you just find reasons to brush those doubts aside? January 2022. Elizabeth Holmes was found guilty on 4 counts of fraud. 11 years after dropping out of Stanford. A $9 billion valuation. Gone. But the investors didn't lose their money because Holmes was smart. They lost it because they were certain. There were people who knew. Scientists inside the company. Engineers who ran the tests. Doctors who saw the numbers. They spoke up. Some were fired. Some fell silent. Not because they were cowards. Law 12, at its core, is not about deceit. It's about desire. The desire to believe in something. The desire to live in a world where that something is true. Elizabeth Holmes didn't create that desire. She simply tapped into it. Law 12. And this is the part of Law 12 that Green doesn't say directly. The most effective deception doesn't require the deceiver to work hard. It requires the deceived to work hard. To protect it. To explain it. To silence anyone who questions it. Most people look at this story and think, I would have seen it coming. But the investors who lost everything thought the exact same thing. The question is never, am I smart enough to spot the lie? The question is, what am I so desperate to believe is true? Most people look because whatever it is you are protecting, that is your true vulnerability. Not your ignorance, not your greed, your hope, and anyone who truly understands Law 12. You've seen this needle before.
at the very start of this episode. Back then, it looked like a promise. Now you know what it cost. The needle hasn't changed. Elizabeth Holmes didn't create the deception alone. She found a door that everyone had already left open. A door made of hope. A door made of need. A door to a future we desperately want to live in.
Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. The door was always open. It still is.
Maybe right now in your life, there is an idea you want to believe in more than you actually want to know if it's real.
Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.